Hi guys, I'm Kranti Sambhav. Welcome to Time Drive. Today we have Martin Schwenk with us, who is MD and CEO of Mercedes-Benz India. This is the first time we are talking like that, but that is what this coronavirus has done. But I somehow find this more interesting and more insightful, Martin. What do you think about these? Because you must be giving so many interviews. What's your experience right now?
I think it took some time to adjust, but it has definitely its pros. What I'm still struggling with sometimes is a different media. Now we're using Skype, that's quite good, but sometimes, for example, Instagram doesn't allow me to use my PC and the webcam, and then I fiddle around with my cell phone and whatever, and then you don't get the same quality of picture, for example. But overall, the direct communication is quite good, I think.
Right. And if you talk about your company communication, your colleagues, how are you managing? I mean, how is it, and how do you keep it normal, the way the whole communication?
Well, I mean, we obviously went into lockdown mode on the 21st of March already, so that's a long time ago. It feels like decades ago, but I would like to say a positive thing at the moment today, we have had the first people going back to our factory in Chakan, and we're slowly but surely getting back in operation. So we have already around 15% of people there to prepare and to do the first steps for ramping up production and sales again. But besides that, obviously, we have adjusted to that. We have had a lot of online meetings, and communication is the key in these times. And obviously it's communication with your leadership team, but it's communication to employees, to dealers. So we had a lot of interactions in groups with different tools, also Skype, but also other tools. So we get really used to that to some extent. And I have to be honest, sometimes it really feels even more efficient because there's more discipline in the meetings, for example. If you do an online meeting, it's quite disciplined because not everybody can talk at the same time. So you really go step by step, and people mute and unmute, and you talk and you think, and you look at the presentation. So if it's well prepared, a meeting is much more structured. On the other hand, it then lacks a little bit of the energy, the spontaneity, the creativity that you can create if you really get together as a group or as a few people to discuss and really bring energy into it. That's definitely a different approach, and you cannot get the same level there. So it has its pros and its cons, but I would think overall it worked quite well.
And we are talking on the 6th of May when we have seen a few plants reopening. How is your plan, and what's the timeline you're looking at as far as the resumption of production is concerned?
Yeah, we have started preparations already yesterday and the day before, meaning having cleaning after weeks of having the factory and the offices closed. Obviously, cleaning was necessary. Implementing the new protocols, which is from temperature taking to masks to social distancing functions. So everything that has already started. And yesterday we also got an approval that we can transport people to the factory and to the offices. So as I already mentioned, we have started today with the first production steps and the first set of staff in the offices. Again, we're around 15-20% there, and that will gradually increase, I hope, also as gradually, hopefully, movement gets a little bit easier for everyone. But I could see already the pictures from the colleagues I was talking to, the ones who are in the factory today. I'm obviously not, I'm scheduled to go tomorrow. So I can see the happy faces, and that's across everyone. So everyone feels a little weird with the mask in front of them, but obviously there's a lot of positive emotions as well with going back to some kind of normalcy. And I think now we will be ready and gradually ramp up. It's also important that we can support our dealers. For example, the dealer network also, I know workshops, around 25% of them are already operational. The first dealerships, sales outlets are also coming. That will probably take a little bit longer, but workshops with highest priority. So we can see some light at the end of the tunnel, and I would just hope that the next couple of days and then a few weeks will help us to get to some kind of normalcy. Obviously very different than before, but some normalcy.
But any timeline you think? I mean, I know it's all unpredictable right now, the way coronavirus is spreading. But any timeline you think is we might see some normalcy?
Well, I would think, there's a lot of talk about the new normal, and one part will certainly be that the implementation of social distancing measures will require us to have far less people in the factory and in the offices at one point in time. Having said that, I would think it takes us a few days, maybe a week or so, to get maybe to 30, 40, 50%. So I would hope that by end of the month we have around half of the people in operation. That would mean then on the one hand production operating like this, and on the staff side it would then be some kind of mixed working model between work from home and working from office. We still have to work out the mechanisms, but we would hope that this would be then at least for some weeks the normal thing, that we can work, but not with everyone on site at any point in time. Sorry, so we'll have to juggle around, but that would certainly be what is in sight for us for the next couple of weeks.
Right, and that must have that must have changed the plans as far as launches are concerned. Last year you were really aggressive. This year the plans were really loaded, and so many launches you had planned. How are we going to see the launches from Mercedes-Benz now, and when can we expect what?
I would say we are not changing any of the products we are launching. So we're not foreseeing any change in terms of what we launch. However, for sure, we will see the one or other delay. I mean, quite logically, by now, I would already have launched the EQC, our electric vehicle, that was scheduled for April. We would have done something probably soon in May. So obviously, with productions being closed, supply chains, be it on CBU cars or finished cars coming from abroad to us, or the locally manufactured cars, we'll have some timing now till our production ramps up. So we will see some delay, but that doesn't really change the lineup itself. So we have a lot of products coming this year. We have already in the Auto Expo and before shown not only the GLE, GLS is about to come. We have just launched, just before the lockdown, the GLC Coupe. So many more things to happen. GLA, I'm sure a car a lot of people wait for, and the A limousine. So that is all coming. We'll have a few days, weeks, left, right movements, and maybe also shift a little bit the sequence based on availability and how we can manage it. But I think we are overall on track to do what we had originally planned. That is today. Who knows what we say in a couple of weeks, but we really lined up for that.
Right, and before, I mean, which one will come first, the EQC or the A-class sedan? What are you planning, or limousine?
I would still hope the EQC comes first, yeah. But I mean, really, these are things we are looking at the moment, really how to schedule, and not everything is clear. I mean, we could see yesterday when we tried to get permission to have buses running through the city. It's even, regulations, they are not always completely clear. It's not completely clear how authorities at different levels interpret them. And similarly, that we're not only dealing with India, we deal with many countries in that sense. So it's very difficult to predict what will really happen in the next couple of weeks in terms of material flow, of car flow. How will customs work on all sides? What will be the logistics chain? What will be priorities? So it is not that I could say here and now we do a plan like this, and now it's just we just do milestone by milestone. There's a lot of dealing with the circumstances. Even though the general direction is completely clear, we'll have to address the issues when they come up and act accordingly.
And if you talk about, I mean, all of us are discussing new normal, but do you think online sales they will pick up? And what do you see the future?
I would answer it like this. We firmly believe that online purchase, online sales is a trend, actually a global trend, and a trend in India, which we believe will grow over the years. We already had launched in October last year our digital initiatives. In that we also presented our online sales platform, which we really brought active then in February, selling pre-owned cars on the platform from February onwards, very successfully, I would think. We believe over the next couple of years, maybe by 2025, it should be around 25% of transactions which actually happen really online. So having that in mind, obviously a situation like this is accelerating that. I mean, I would say luckily we're prepared for that, but now obviously you have added consumer interest. Already before the crisis, a lot of inquiries, a lot of information is sought by customers online. And now obviously the interest is even higher to understand deeper the options they have, to have deeper interactions with the brand, be it with the dealers or with us, to get together information, to get consultation. So that's why we not only having set up our online platform, but we have also set up an entire process around that, so that you can, from the inquiry to consultation, to financial consultation, have a very transparent view on what is available, what inventories are available, and eventually also, if you want to test drive, you can get a car to be brought to your home, so that you can drive the car there, and then eventually you can transact from your home, and you wouldn't even have to have let a consultant into your house, because what we would understand, and I think all of us have the same feeling, that having people in your home at the moment, which are not part of the family, is not the most comfortable thing at the moment. Yeah. So, and a lot of our sales consultants also interact in a normal situation with the customers from their home, but obviously we would expect that there is also some hesitation. So we're trying to complement that now with video calling functionalities and with an online sales process, which would make it possible for the customers to do everything really, from inquiry to test drive to getting delivered the car at home, without having physically to interact either in a showroom or in their own place with the sales personnel. And I think that is something which obviously we would not have planned and pushed at the same level as we do now, but we would believe the current situation accelerates a trend in that direction.
So you said 25% of market sales would be happening online. By what year you had earlier planned that figure, and has it changed now?
I mean, this is a number we have put out also on a global level by 2025. Yeah, and I would think a target 2025 is not necessarily changing now. Our target is not even a target, an assumption or a forecast for that level. I would just think we see more traction and an acceleration on that. So, but again, we must also not be, too surprised if it still will take time to grow over time. Because I mean, you cannot go from basically zero to thousands of cars overnight. So I think it will be a growing process which needs its time, and it will be more and more prevalent in the entire industry. But we have to start somewhere, and we offer it now. So I think it will still be a gradual increase, really, that you completely do your journey online. That will still take time, that you have a bigger complement of people doing that. But elements of this purchase experience will definitely happen more and more in the way I described it.
And where do you see the current traditional retail model, dealerships, where do you see that, or what kind of changes are you anticipating?
I think the one thing which I would like to point out is that also our online sales channel is essentially a dealership sales channel. It is not that Mercedes-Benz India sells the car to the customer. Actually, every dealer has within our platform their own store, I should say, in which they maintain their inventory, in which they maintain their pricing, and so there is a lot of commonality. But at the end, the actual showroom, if you want to say so, is in the web, on the website itself. That means at the end, I think that's the right strategy when you have in mind that there is a seamless process between online and offline to be expected over time. So at the end, a customer may on the one hand sit at 9 o'clock in the evening on their couch and do some browsing and maybe start some process, or maybe wants to finalize the process. But in the meantime, he or she may want to talk to a consultant, or may still want to go to a showroom. So and have a test drive and get more touch and feel of different models. So we think it will complement each other. So both channels will definitely coexist. And I would want to point out again, the dealer is in charge of both channels at the same time. So it is in their capability at the end that will decide which channel will work in which way. So for sure, the showroom and the physical transaction world will remain one of the major also necessities in the retail process. We need that because a lot of customers also want to see cars, want to touch them. They don't really know right from the start what model they want, how they want to have it, and they also like the showroom experience. And also in these times, we have complete setup safety protocols for the showrooms. That is from social distancing, masks, everything will also be provided to the customers so that as normal as possible interaction is possible. And I would want to say here that we know from other markets who are a little bit further into that process, be it China, South Korea or others, we know that customers also come back to the showrooms. It's not that everyone is now gone online and only remains there. It takes, if you can provide a safe environment, and we have set that up in our showrooms already, customers will also feel comfortable as over time. You and I will also go back again to go to a restaurant or to go to some mall if the safety protocols are being implemented. So I think this element will also grow and continue to exist, but we have to complement it now with a digital sales channel, with a digital experience, all in one environment.
So in near future, everyone is anticipating that we might see some push as far as personal mobility is concerned because of social distancing and safety and hygiene and sanitization. So, but at the same time, everyone is also, many are also anticipating that we might see some growth in the mass market segment. Where do you see luxury car segment post-corona as far as growth is concerned?
Well, I mean, that is one of the very difficult questions. I mean, there's a lot of studies we also follow, be it from bigger consultancies, be it from other markets, for example, be it our own analysis. Surely there is trends from online to potentially a bigger impact. Individual transportation might get a boost again after a strong leaning towards shared mobility. So we see in some markets there is a stronger boost in that direction. Whether that is sufficient to offset the general, how can I say, weakness in the market, which is created by the financial and the economic pressure, I'm not sure about it. So if we look into the short term, we all know that GDP growth will be drastically reduced in all countries, India no exception there. So we'll see how much growth we will have, and that will surely have an impact then on the passenger car sales as well. So the overall market, we can expect that the passenger car market will go down, whether it's 15, 20 or 25%, who knows, yeah, but it will go down overall. And I would think the luxury segment will not be able to offset that or to work completely opposite these trends. So I would assume there is some impact for us as well. It is very difficult to assess now what the next few weeks will bring, but some of the simulations also show, and some of the market experience shows, that after a couple of months you can come back to some kind of normalcy. And if you ask me now, I would hope that by the festive season we have achieved a situation which is, let me say, in terms of sales and momentum on a pre-corona level. Whether that is the case, I think there is so many uncertain elements which you may find there. Whether we really can move now step by step, whether we get second waves of infections, or do we get extensions or new lockdowns later in the year. I mean, everything nobody can answer at the moment, I would assume. Actually, for no country you can really do a serious prognosis on that. So, but if you ask me for what I wish for that we have a few months now in which we recover, reset our sales processes, and get our production up going. And then 3-4 months, we hopefully see some momentum. For us as a brand, I already mentioned, we have so many new cars coming, new and attractive models that we will bring to the market. So I see we should be able to get a positive momentum in sales then as well, but that will really also depend on what the general framework is doing.
And we also mentioned maybe we might see some figures around or levels around festive season, but car market was anyway suffering. It was anyway the sales were down. Right now after Corona, what do you think government can do, should do, or the kind of expectations we saw from auto manufacturers? Do you think government has a bigger role to play to get this industry back on track?
I think government is trying to do in their means at the moment what they can do. However, we're not seeing a major push that would help at the moment the entire economy and specifically the auto industry. Auto industry is very decisive also in India in terms of for production, for made in India. However, I think there is still some possibilities of supporting. And obviously what has been discussed often in the past is around GST schemes that there would be some easing. But if you ask me honestly, I'm not convinced that anything will happen in that direction. It would definitely help something to ignite consumption again. That should hopefully happen. And at the end, I would say anything that helps the overall growth in the country will eventually also help the car sales. So let's see what the government comes up with in the next couple of weeks to stabilize the growth in the country.
And then one question I wanted to ask you, because before I wrap this up, how do you see used car market doing? Because that is something which everyone is anticipating that it might do well.
Well, I mean, used car for us has already for several years been on our agenda. We already in 2014, we introduced Mercedes-Benz certified, and that is our pre-owned vetted cars. They are checked against, and we have seen over the last couple of years quite some substantial growth in that already. But we see that customers are interested in a structured used car market. And that was also one of the reasons why we actually started our online sales platform with used cars, because we think there is a market and a structured, transparent process will help the growth there. So I would expect the trends will continue on used car. But I would also want to say here, used car for us is usually to attract first-time buyers or younger buyers who want to experience the brand for the first time in their own experience, want to do their own experience with the brand. And a lot of the first-time buyers or the used car customers will over time then migrate and upgrade to a new car. So I would not necessarily see a trend which says new car customers buys now a used car and that eats each other up. I think, as I said, a lot of people come to the brand with used car and then they upgrade later. And a lot of our loyal customers, they already wait for our new cars, also the new models I was mentioning about. So I think we will see at the same time a comeback of the new car sales and momentum there. But again, both elements are important, and the used car market still has, compared to other countries, some way to grow, specifically in an organized and structured sector.
Thank you so much, Martin, for this chat and all the pointers you gave us and your prediction as far as this Indian auto industry is concerned. And I hope you go to your plant very soon, meet all your colleagues, and we are hoping to see the normal we used to know, that normalcy. We want that back. Thank you so much.
Andy, thank you very much for having me. Yeah, have a good day.